Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be filming my January wrap up, and I finished 6 books in January, but I'm adding one to my February wrap up because I don't want to spoil the vlog that I have coming up this weekend. But anyways, these are the 5 books that I'm counting for January. And together that was 2,413 pages. I have one like epic fantasy, 2 romantasy, 1 YA fantasy, and 1 YA sci-fi. So starting out with The Eye of the World, this was the first book that I finished this year. It's the first book I finished in January. This was a reread for me. I'm trying to finish The Wheel of Time this year. It's just so good. There's so much to it. There's so many characters that you're following. There's so much lore that's dropped on you from the very beginning, but it's so expertly done that you never feel like you're getting an info dump. And it's just, as a writer, this book I think does everything right. Yes, some people might think that it's too long, there's, just too much. I guess some people would consider that boring, the traveling from place to place and all of that kind of stuff. I love it. That is what I love about fantasy. That's what I love about epic fantasy. Just the depth of everything, the history and the lore, the magic system, just the whole entire thing. So anyways, what is it about? So The Eye of the World is the first book in the Wheel of Time series, and it's called that because in the books, time is a wheel, and what that means is that it's a cycle. And so the entire thing is based on the idea that there is this big battle between good and evil that occurs, and you have this person that is born that's supposed to like fight the shadow. And so every age, every time the wheel turns, that person is reborn and has to ultimately face the shadow, the ultimate evil, right? So in this book, you are following 3 young men basically as your 3 main characters. There are more main characters, and the POVs really open up as you go through. But in the beginning, you're starting with your true main character, Rand al'Thor, and his 2 friends, Matt and Perrin. So the 3 friends have come together. They're about to do Winter Night, which is like a festival kind of thing that they do. And there are strangers in the village. They end up all 3 independently seeing this cloaked figure. Rand hears that there's strangers in the village. He thinks that one of them might be him, but it's not. It's like a lady and a knight type character. So anyways, they're coming together for Winter Night, and Trollocs invade their village and kill a bunch of people, set fires, the whole thing. And the lady that's there is what is called an Aes Sedai, and so they are the magic wielders in this world. The women are the ones that can wield the magic. At one point in time, men could, but their half of the true source was tainted. And so now any man that tries to wield the one power will eventually go mad. And you actually see that in the prologue, because in the prologue you meet Luz Theron, who went crazy and apparently killed everybody. So she ends up taking the 3 boys because she says that the Trollocs came for them, and so if they stay there, their whole village is going to be in danger. So she is going to take them to Tar Valon, which is where the Aes Sedai live. And Egwene, one of the girls of the village, she comes with them. Moraine, the lady, ends up telling her that she could be an Aes Sedai if she wants to go for training, and so she's going to go with them to Tar Valon as well. So they're traveling along. The village wisdom, Nynaeve, also catches up with them, and she could become an Aes Sedai as well. She's able to touch the true source. So they are all going to Tar Valon. At one point, they end up being chased by the Trollocs, and they have to go to a place called Shadar Logoth. And there they become separated. And so Perrin and Egwene end up together. Mat and Rand end up together. And Nynaeve, Moraine, and her warder, Lan, end up together. And so from there, Moraine is trying to find the young men because the Dark One is after them. And so she is not going to let them fall into his hands, and that could happen whether they're alive or dead. So she is going to go and try to find them. I forgot to mention that the Gleeman, Tom Marilyn, also is traveling with them, and he ends up with Rand and Mat. And so they kind of had a place where they were going, and so everybody's trying to get to that place to kind of meet back up. And so Tom Marilyn and the two boys are like traveling. They pretend like they're his apprentices or whatever, like they're trying to become Gleeman. And so they are playing in taverns and things like that to earn money for their travels. Perrin and Egwene end up in the wilderness, and they end up meeting Elias, who is someone that can communicate with wolves. And so they're traveling with him. They end up running into the White Cloaks, which are kind of like a religious sect, kind of like the Inquisition kind of situation. Like they have questioners and things like that. They're very feared in this world. Things are happening to them individually that I don't want to say too much about because I don't want to give away the whole entire plot. But they do eventually come back together. And when they do come back together, they realize, because of, all of these things that are going on, that the Eye of the World is in trouble. There's something about that the Dark One does not want them to go to the Eye of the World, and he keeps saying that the Eye of the World will not serve you. So Moraine takes them to the Borderlands and goes in search of the Eye of the World. While there, they realize that one of the three young men is the person that is supposed to battle the Dark One at the end. So he's what they call the Dragon Reborn. That is kind of the point where it leaves off in here. So the story is just going to continue from there. I've already started book 2. I'm almost I think halfway through, maybe even a little over halfway through with book 2. Obviously, I gave this 5 stars. Like I said, I think that this is a wonderful, amazing book, and if you have never read The Wheel of Time, you definitely should. It is a completed series, so you can definitely binge it, and you don't have to worry about waiting on the next book to come out. Then I read One Dark Window, which was our January book club pick. I really enjoyed this one. In the moment when I finished it, I gave it 5 stars. I think it's kind of more like a 4.5, which doesn't really make a difference. It would still round up to 5 stars on Goodreads. I do feel like there were parts of this that could have been written a little bit differently, that I would have enjoyed a little bit better. But overall, I do think this is a really good story. In this world, the magic system is these cards. And there's a certain number of each type of card, and each type of card does a specific thing. Your main character, Elspeth, when she was a kid, she had this illness. There's this sickness that people can get. She gets this illness, and when people do get the illness, they get some sort of magic that manifests in them. But the magic will eventually kill them. And so people that get the illness are usually put to death. Her family has sheltered and protected her, so nobody knows that she had the illness. But one day she's coming home and she meets some highwaymen on the road that are looking for these cards. And it so happens that she finds out that the person who tried to get the cards or find the cards is the captain of the Destriers, and that's actually the king's nephew. And so she ends up finding out that they have this little group of people that are trying to gather the cards to complete the deck, because when you complete the deck, it basically gets rid of all of the magic mist and everything. It'll cure the people that have the sickness it'll fix everything, right? And so she is going to join them to try to get the cards to complete the deck, because it will get that nightmare that she has in her head out of her head. I really like the concept of the magic system. The one thing that I kind of, I guess, had a little bit of an issue with was the romance. Not that the romance was bad, it was just, it was set up in the beginning to almost feel like a enemies to lovers kind of situation, but like that kind of a situation where it feels like it's set up to be kind of a slow burn, but it's not really. I mean, pretty quickly, but I mean, it is a small book, so I mean, I guess there's the trade-off. But I felt like it could have been written a little bit more as a slow burn and an enemies to lovers type romance. And then also, I do feel like his character sometimes fell flat for me. So like, she would do something or say something, and then he didn't react in a way that I feel like normal people would react. So for example, like, she gets super mad at him about keeping secrets from her, but she's keeping pretty big secrets from him too, and he like figures that out, but he's not mad or saying, you know, like, you got mad at me for, and say, you know, you were saying I was keeping secrets, but you were keeping secrets. Or, you know, at one point in time, they, you know, they're kind of in an intimate moment or whatever, and she just like runs away because of, you know, what's happening in her head with this nightmare thing. And the next day he's just like, it's no big deal, it's fine. And I just felt like sometimes that his responses to her and his reactions to her were not very realistic, I guess. I don't know, like, there could have been some tension there, and there never was. So I do feel like that probably could have been a little bit better. But as I said, I do think it was really good, so I definitely think you should check this out. I do need to read the second book, but I don't know if I'll be able to this month with the TBR that I rolled. After that, I read When the Moon Hatched. So this was actually the first one that was part of my January campaign, and it was one of my 25 in 2025 books. So I do think, because I did pull another one, actually two of the books I have on my February TBR are also 25 in 2025 books. So I may do like a little mini vlog kind of situation where I try to see if I can finally get that bingo from last year, because I didn't get it. Anyways, in this one, you have your main character, Rave, who is an assassin. And in the beginning, she is kind of going undercover. She's going to this location to try to assassinate this person. After that, she ends up captured by the Guild of Nobles, and she's put in prison. And there was a man, which I say man, they're fae, so a male, at the place where she was trying to do her assignment or whatever. And he shows up in the prison as well. And he seems to have some kind of like an interest in her, and she doesn't understand it. So like, he acts like he recognizes her, and you know, she's just kind of confused about, you know, what he wants. And so he has her healed, and she ends up going on trial or whatever, and she's sentenced to death. And he ends up sending his dragon to take her, so that it looks like she was eaten by the dragons or whatever, but she's not. He ends up taking her back to his kingdom, and she will end up realizing that she is not who she thinks that she is, or rather, she was someone and doesn't remember that part of her life. And so as the book goes on, you learn who she is just before she does, I guess. And then you realize that the two of them had a relationship before, but something went wrong. And you don't realize what that was until the very, very end. And this is another one that leaves you on a cliffhanger. So I gave this one 5 stars as well. There's a lot of twists and turns in here, a lot of reveals. Some of them I saw coming, some of them I did not. The like final reveal kind of towards the end, I partly saw coming. I was sobbing so hard throughout this book. Like in the very beginning, something happens and I was crying, and then by the end I was crying. Like there were so many things that have happened to this character that you feel so sorry for her, even though at the same time you're going to be infuriated by her and how she's acting and how she's treating the male main character. But at the same time, you understand why she is like she is. So, also, there seems to be something inside of her. You realize what it is, but she doesn't. She has no idea. And a lot of the things that are going on with her and the things in her past or whatever, like she is totally ignoring, totally burying into her subconscious on purpose. Like she does not want to deal with anything that's going to be triggering to her. And then you kind of find out that it's probably for good reason. Like she's been through a lot of stuff. But anyways, I gave it 5 stars. I can't wait till the next book comes out. I definitely think you should give this one a try. Then I read Skyward. Of course, I loved it and I gave it 5 stars. It's Brandon Sanderson. I mean, of course, I was going to love it. In this one, you have Spencer. And her, in the very beginning, her and her father are kind of like exploring whatever. He's a pilot. And he gets the call on his radio that there is like an invasion. There's about to be this big battle. In the battle, he ends up running away. And so he's branded a coward. And she deals with the fallout of that for the rest of her childhood up until the point where the book takes place. She is the daughter of a coward. Her family can't get good work. She's kind of treated like a social outcast. Throughout all of that, she still is bound and determined to become a pilot like her father. At the beginning of the book, you can see that like that's her dream, what she wants, and she just sticks with that. And then it comes time to take the test, and she realizes that they're going to keep her from doing this. There's no way. And so they rig the test. She, is basically told like, there's no way I would send you up there knowing what your father did, basically. And so from the very beginning, you feel so bad for her and how everybody is treating her. A man kind of comes in, she's sitting there in the testing room, and she's just like trying to come to terms with the fact that they're just not going to let her do this. And she thinks it's a janitor, but it actually ends up being her dad's wingmate, and he teaches at flight school. And so he arranges for her to at least be given the chance to go through flight school. And so she is accepted, she gets to go to flight school, but even still they're trying to get her to quit. So like she's not allowed to stay on site at the school. And so instead of going back and forth between her home underground and the base, which would take a lot of her time, she finds a cave to stay in. And in that cave, she discovers a spaceship that had crash landed, and it turns out that the spaceship has an AI. And so she ends up getting one of her friends to help her to rebuild this spaceship. And they don't want to tell the military about the spaceship because they know that they'll take it. And Spencer is thinking that even if she goes through school, they're not going to let her fly. Like she knows that that's probably not going to happen for her. And so she's wanting to get this spaceship operational so that she has something that she can fly herself. As you know, she's going through flight school, she's also kind of investigating what happened with her father, because she knows that he's not a coward. She knows that he wouldn't have just run away from the fight. And so she's going to discover some like hidden secrets about that, and that's going to also lead her to some secrets about herself. Well, at the end, there ends up being this huge invasion, and they are in danger of this invasion totally wiping out, you know, the majority of their society. And so she is going to have to help defend her home, and then also she is going to learn some secrets about herself. She's going to learn some secrets about their civilization and how they came to be there and who it is that is invading them. I really love this book. 5 stars. Definitely think you should read it. I'm going to read books 2 and 3 this month, so I can't wait to finish on in that series. And then finally, I read Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. This one was okay. I gave this one 3 stars. In the very beginning, I was very close to DNFing it. I picked up the audiobook, and the narrator voice was just driving me nuts. I did not enjoy the narration for this audiobook. I listen to my audiobooks around 2 times speed, more or less, depending on how fast the voice is naturally, or whether they're doing a bunch of like inflections with their voice or whatever. Sometimes if they get really high pitched, I can't hear it very well when it's too fast, because it makes it even more high pitched. But anyways, the voice that they used for her was just so like squeaky, I guess. I don't even know how to explain it. It didn't sound like a normal person voice. And I get that they were trying to kind of sound like Sally, but it didn't really sound like Sally. And even at 1 time speed, which makes me feel like I'm like listening to a 1st grader try to read. So in the first little bit, I was like, I should just DNF this. I'm not liking this. But I do, like I said, I do think the audiobook made it worse. But when it actually got to the point that some action started happening, I did get interested and keep going with it. So in this one, Jack and Sally have they've been married, and so she is now the Pumpkin Queen. And it's like 2 weeks until Halloween, something like that. And so they go on their honeymoon, and they go to, I guess it's Valentine's Town, because it's Halloween Town, Christmas Town. So I think it's Valentine's Town. Anyways, so they go there for their honeymoon, whatever, and then they come back. It's like an overnight thing. And they come back, and, you know, they're trying to dress her up as a queen. They're putting a crown on her, all of this stuff. And she's like, you know, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. I love Jack. I want to be with Jack, and, you know, I want that. But I don't want to be a queen. I don't want all of the responsibilities that come with that. And that part of it, in the beginning, was like quite annoying, because I don't think that it felt that much like Sally. Like, I do understand, I could see where Sally would like not want all of the attention and things like that, or be worried about something, but it just felt very much like, I don't even know, like just very, not necessarily whiny, but just like very scared. And it, like I said, it was just a little bit annoying. And then also, I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, she must have at least had a year, because, you know, it was like, I guess, Christmas time when they got together, and it's like about to be Halloween time, so it's like close to a year. Did you not? And she's living with Jack, so it's, I mean, it's not like she's just like, it suddenly happened and she had no idea about, you know, that she was going to be a queen. Like, she's known that she was going to have to be the Pumpkin Queen. So it did, I don't know, that just part didn't make sense to me. But anyways, she ends up running away, and she goes to the forest where all the doors are, and Zero ends up finding a hidden door. And so she opens the door and ends up accidentally letting in the Sandman. And so the Sandman puts everyone to sleep in Halloween Town, all of the towns, everybody's asleep. So she ends up going back into the door to see if she can try to figure out a way to get him to go back. And so she ends up meeting a couple of people. I thought that part of it was kind of fun. She ends up going through all of the holiday doors to try to see if she can find somebody to help her. That part was kind of cool to see her go to all of the different places. But she goes through the hidden door, and those are supposed to be like ancient doors or something like that. So she goes to Dream Town, and there the people are not asleep, they're actually awake, but she can't get anybody to help her bring him back or whatever. Like, they're happy to be rid of him. And so there she actually finds some relations, people that are related to her, which was crazy. Apparently Dr. Finkelstein kidnapped her from Dreamtown once upon a time, so I didn't expect that. But anyways, in the end, she does figure out how to save Halloween Town and everybody from the Sandman. She kind of accepts her fate as queen, and you know, it's happily ever after in the end or whatever. But like I said, it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. So I will probably read the second one just because I am curious of what that one would be. I don't think I can't remember now, but I want to say it might even be by a different author, and so it might just kind of be like like adventures with her more so than like an actual series. But anyways, that is it. All of that rambling to tell you about these 5 books. So coming up, I've got a bunch of stuff I need to catch up on. So I will have a February upcoming releases video, and also in that video I'll probably stick it onto the end. I will tell you what my anticipated January releases were. Not that I've read any of them, but just so that you're aware of things that came out last month, I guess. So I'll do those. I need to do my reading journal video. I need to fill in January and then set up for February. So I'll probably do that in 2 separate videos. I want to do a book rec video with recommendations for like cozy fantasy romance books, seeing as how Valentine's Day is coming up. I actually have 2 Valentine's videos that will be up. Hopefully 2. I have at least 1. I'm supposed to have another one. I'm going to start filming that today, I think. Yeah, there's more. Oh, I need to film the video with the printables for my TBR game. Like, I have so much that I need to do. So hopefully I will see you in one of those videos, but that is it for now, and I will see you again soon. Bye guys.